Hi there, this is Cooking Kitty, and welcome to episode Shifterland, episode number 99.1 or 99.5 or 91 version 1.3 or something like that. But we're I've lost track, and so until I'm in the mood to do my 100th show, we're gonna just be doing 99 and on until I feel it's time to do something super spectacular, and that will be episode 100, the century mark. Anyway, today we're going to talk about pinhole photography. It's pretty amazing stuff. And what we got here is a pinhole camera made by me, made by the Shifter, made by Cooking Kitty. It's a pinhole camera that I made about 8 years ago, and so yeah, it's pretty awesome stuff. So we're going to do some pinhole photography today, and we're gonna do a little tutorial on what that involves. And basically what happens, all you do, it's just a box. You need some kind of box. What I've done is I've made mine out of a what is this? Oh, it's a concrete, it's a pouring tube. When you're in a basement with your car and there's concrete cylinders. What do you call those things? Conical? Yeah, round, Yossi?
I have no idea.
The round things in basements, the columns, concrete columns. Anyway, it's for pouring concrete. It used to be a circle, and then I cut it in half. And we'll get into that a little later, but pinhole camera, no lens, it's old school stuff. It's has to do with an Italian word known as, well, actually all cameras do, but camera obscura, is that the right one? That's
yes.
The right word? Camera obscura. What does that mean? Dark light? No, light.
Dark room.
But dark room. Oh, does it really mean dark room?
I don't know, but.
So anyway, with a pinhole camera, all you just have some kind of container. Basically, you just need a container that is light tight, and you need, depending on what kind of pinhole camera you have to have a dark room, a room with no light in it to insert your film into the camera, and then have a way to seal it up so you can bring it out into the daylight and take your photos. And the other thing that you need for a pinhole camera is oh, there we go. Is your pinhole. And so right here, well, we'll get to that a little later. You need your little pinhole. There's no lens. All it is a little hole and a piece of metal that's going to the light's gonna come through here and hit some film back here. We're gonna do some photography with the pinhole camera, and you can make them out of anything. You can make them out of you know, shoe boxes is the cliche, but they don't actually work because they're so they're flimsy. But you can make them out of paint cans, coffee cans. You could make them out of you can construct your own out of pieces of wood, or you could build your own out of cardboard, or and also, if you don't want to use your imagination so much, but I'd advise to use your imagination to make your own. But you can go online and buy a pre-made pinhole camera, and I'll give you that information a little later on, in case you're interested in going that route. But because this is a little more labor intensive, using your imagination, thinking for yourself, not just letting the man do all the work for you. All right, so when you go out into the field to do your pinhole photography, there's a few things you're going to need. I mean, the obvious one is you're going to need a some kind of pinhole camera, whether you make it yourself or buy one online or buy one from the store. You're going to have it loaded with film. So there's two things you're going to want to have, and depending on what kind of camera you have or what kind of film you have, depending if it's slow. We are using a 400 ASA speed film today, and my pinhole design, I'll get into this a little later too. My pinhole design is a f390, like, you know, you got f22, f14 or f16, f8, f11. I'm around f390 is the f-stop of my pinhole camera roughly, and so you're probably going to want to have a tripod. You want to be able to have a tripod because most of your exposures, except for when it's really bright, are going to be they're going to be longer. It could be anywhere from 30 seconds to half hour. My exposures have ranged from 30 seconds, 20 seconds to upwards of a half an hour. So you want to have that, and then it's also, you could just count by hand, but if you get longer, if you're going to be doing longer exposures, it's good to have a watch with a second hand or some kind of clock. So I just use my the timer, my cell phone. I got a timer on the cell phone, so I just use that. And then also another thing you want to do is you want to have notepad, paper, and pen, something to write, jot down notes, because one of the most important things is that there's a lot of trial and error. Like you can't believe how many fucked up negatives I have because I wasn't paying attention, or I made an error, or I lost track of what I was doing. So it's good to keep good precise notes of what you're doing, so that way when you find out your exposure time, you can repeat your results, because it's nice to you don't want to waste a lot of money. This stuff, they're charging you, you know, it's a digital age, and when you go and buy we're doing film, 8x10 film, big piece of the film, and we'll get to that a little later, but you don't want to, you know, that's like $3 or $4 per sheet, and so you want to be wasting any money, or at least little as possible. So you want to take notes of all your exposures and whatnot, and then when you go to do more, you're all set to go. Another thing you want to have is either some kind of camera, a manual or digital, or a light meter. What we want to do is you want to what you want to do is you want to take some meter readings, and then you're going to jot those down in your little notebook, and then from there you're going to extrapolate. Because right now we got at a f22 we got a 1/30th of a second exposure, and so then what we're going to do is we're going to just extrapolate that to through all the f-stops. So f22 at 1/30, and then the next one is f32, and that would be at 1/15th, and then you just go up all the way to f390. Well, this will make more sense if you're a photographer. But anyway, you want to take some meter readings so that you can know exactly what hell you're doing, how long to potentially expose your film for, and in the future, when you expose more film, you'll be able to tell, you'll be able to have the right exposure. So those are just some of the things that you're gonna bare essentials you need. You don't actually have to do this. Once you get good enough, you can just sort of say, you know, the sun's here, it's cloudy here, and then I've done it in the past, just totally made it all up as I go. But when you make it all up as you go, you make a lot of mistakes. For example, earlier today, as I was suiting up to get into my Super Cat costume, I put the costume on and I bent over to put my shoes on. Guess what happened? Can you get a close up of that? I got up to put my suit on, and the zipper ripped, and it's like, you know, I've been exercising, I've been trying to do my best to stay in shape. I've been trying to drink a little bit less, although I am drinking a gin and tonic right now. And but anyway, so what we got here is I'll just call this the punk kitty. I don't know. It's just a bunch of safety pins. And earlier I just had a little bit of a flashback. Also, is that whenever you're going to be taking I don't think anyone does this anymore. Does anyone do acid anymore, LSD? But if you're out there doing that kind of stuff, the one rule I had before I did that is that I'd always put my keys in a special place, like in a particular pocket where I would always know where it's at, so that while I was tripping my balls off or totally out of my rockers on my head on some good hallucinogenic trip, having some wonderful, wonderful times, I would always know where my keys are, because you don't want to lose that shit. You want to be high and losing stuff. And I've rarely lost stuff. I lose stuff when I'm more sober than from drinking or being high or whatever. Anyway, back to the pinhole photography. Hi there. This is Cooking Kitty, and when I was talking about doing stuff for yourself, like DIY, do it yourself, I make all of my own pinholes. I make my own holes. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I make my own holes, and it's pretty awesome thing, because you make this hole and you put it in a little piece of metal or whatever kind of thing you want to do, and then you expose your film through this little hole that you made. It's pretty amazing stuff. And so I'll just, here, why don't we, I'll show you, here, get way in there, get it so it fills the whole screen. There is best I can show you a little close-up of the hole that I've made, and you know, it's a pretty good hole, but it has it's not totally round. You could get online and order laser cut pinholes at pinhole sites, and you can get a perfect hole. But this is a pretty good hole. I mean, it's pretty. Here are what I've done is oh, I don't see. What I have here is I've drilled a lot of different holes to practice and just to have some spare ones. But what ended up happening is that the first I just picked one of the holes that I drilled, that I drilled might be the wrong term. That's what I did. I drilled, but there's another way is, well, how I made my pinholes for my pinhole camera. I don't know, is that? Mm-hmm. Should I just keep still?
I have to say, very sexy.
Oh, thank. Can I put it right in front of my eye?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Or
Mm-hmm.
does that work? Well, anyway, so what we have here is a drill that is approximately a drill bit you can get at a certain hardware stores and stuff. But what I did is I got a range of these. I did my research for what size of hole I need to do. And the thing is that you need there is an ideal hole size. This is around a 0.021 inches, 0.021 inches. And what I did is I bought a range of drill bits ranging from probably a 0.018 to a 0.025 inch. And then so I did some practicing. But the funny thing is, in the Cooking Kitty and Shifter's Way, I had this range of different drill bits to make different hole sizes. Excuse me. I just made I made one, put up my camera, used it, and it immediately worked. So I didn't even test out this range. I just lucked out that it just worked out great. But the thing is that, so I got a whole bunch of these things just left over waiting, but I've just been using the same hole. I've been using the same hole for the past 10 years, maybe 12 years, 10 years, 10 years. And it's a hole that I made. I made these holes myself. What I did is I just took a small little Dremel drill, a battery operated small little hand drill, and I made that because the drill bit was so effing small I couldn't even fit it in my drill bit. So what I did is I took some tape and put it on my drill so it's a little fatter, so the diameter was a little better, a little thicker diameter. I put it in my drill bit, and so I just gently, you know, and what we got here is just a pop can, aluminum pop can. In the past, I have made them out of earlier models of my pinhole pinhole cameras have been made out of the aluminum foil of a turkey pan, but for basting, whatever, the same stuff. But ideally, you want to have, there's some ideal, you don't want it too thick or too thin. You don't want it to be too thick, because then the light will start acting funky when it tries to go through. So you just gently, you can do it by hand too, but I did it with a little Dremel drill. Just gently get it going, and then you want to just gently bore your way through and you want to use as little as force. You should use as little as force as possible, because you want to, you don't want to damage the material. Because if you use too much force, you're just going to punch through and it's going to leave some jagged edges. So what you want to do is be very, very gentle when you're making your holes. Very, very gentle, and you just gently go through, and then once you're through, you just move it back a little bit, move it back very slowly, just back and forth, kind of sort of like you were making gentle, having very, 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 I don't know, as if you just move it back very gentle, like you're having very, very sweet, emotional sex with your lever. Just very, very gently, back and forth, back and forth. And then what you want to do is you want to turn it around, and you want to do it from the rear. Do it from the opposite side, so that way you'll get a uniformity in your hole with your little drill bit. Another thing is my original instructions suggested using needles, because sewing needles and drill bits all have a standardized thing. So they have numbers on them associated with them, like a number 14 needle or a number 9 needle all has an associated diameter with it, so you knew what your diameter was. And the drill bits, like that was a drill bit size, that was a number 77 or 78 or something like that, and they have a known diameter. And so my earlier models of pinhole holes were made with needles. So after you've made your hole with your needle or a drill bit or whatever you choose to make it with, well, you want to take some steel wool or a very, very fine sandpaper, like number 000 or like 1000 grit, like huge, like very, very, it's not even barely even sandpaper, like even a kitchen sponge would do. That's the thing, is this is low tech. You can do whatever you want to do, and then just inspect it, like just, you know, you can. I like to use a magnifying glass, and so you just want to just. You want to expect a hole for roundness, because I've had to reject, you know, see, I got a little check mark. See that check mark? That tells me I did this like 10 years ago. That's what kind of record keeping I do. I found this in the bottom of a drawer that I hadn't opened in a decade, and I made this thing a decade ago, and this little check mark telling me that this has been like inspected by the shifter, by Cook and Kitty, and that this hole is round and it has no severe problems. Because I have made some holes that are oblong or jagged, and you know, you could get a certain effect with that, and you know, some people might make their holes jagged. At one point, you know, you can, as I've been discussing, you can try to make your pictures as perfect as possible, and you know, I want my pictures to be as professional, to look good. I want them to be clear and in focus as much as possible with our ancient technology, with our rudimentary technology. But at one point, I had a teacher tell me, I had this awesome teacher at the UW photography school. I only took one photo class, and his name was Ron Carahar, and he was like, in my opinion, he is the best teacher in my personal experience of all the teachers that I've had at the University of Washington. He is the best teacher. And I was in his class, and then I did a couple independent studies, and that's where I started doing my pinholes over like 20 years ago. I know, a long time ago. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm an experienced, seasoned, veteran pinhole photographer. I've been doing it for 2 decades. 2 decades. My filmer, oh, never mind. Anyway, his cohort, one of the other teachers, was looking at my photos, and he says to me, and he says to Ron, he says, well, why bother? Why are you even doing this? These look like regular photographs. And you know, normally I'm not one to be into, when I like to look at art, I don't like to know how it was made. I like to look at the art, and I like to see just what kind of emotions or how it inspires me, or how I can just space out when there's art that I like. But this one teacher said, well, why are you even doing this? Because they just look like they were taken by a regular camera. And I don't know, I was sort of bothered by it, but I could see his point. but it just seemed kind of odd. I mean, I think it's cool that it wasn't made by a regular camera, even though it looks like a picture that was made by a regular camera. Hi there, this is Cooking Kitty, and we're prepping to take our first pinhole. I know hopefully I haven't bored any of you, but we're getting closer. So right now what I'm doing is I am getting the shot ready. I'm getting the shot ready because there's no viewfinder. There's no viewfinder, so you have to have a little bit of experience. Another thing you have to do, you know, is that, well, I got a pretty wide angle scenario, because if I was gonna like do a headshot, if I wanted to do a headshot, I would have to be like, well, right here is well, our pinhole. This is where I'd have to be fucking close. It's a pretty wide angle thing. But anyway, so basically, you have to get your shot all, arranged, because in your mind, because you have no idea, you don't know. It's just. But what I've done is I've drawn these lines on here. And so what that does is I can get to the side, I can see that this picture right here is going to start right here, and then roughly, this is an approximation, and then from the bottom side, you know, it's gonna go that far up into the sky, and it's gonna cut that tree off a little bit. So I have a brief approximation of what's gonna be in the photo, and then I've done the same thing in the top. I've drawn these lines right here, and what they do is then I can then point and look, and then I can see that, you know, that this path over here, most of it's going to be in the photo, and then I can tell on this right side that these areas are going to roughly be in it and these areas aren't. And then I've also drawn a line right in the middle, which just tells me that is going to be the middle of my negative. So I know exactly what the hell I'm trying to do. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I am prepping the camera for the angles, the left and right and the up and down to figure out just what in the heck is going to end up in our camera, up on our negative. So I'm just my filmmaker is posing as a substitute for me, because what we are going to do is I'm going to take a self-portrait. And I'm just figuring out all the little angles with the tools that I have just expressed to you. I use them to figure out just what in the hell is going to be in my negative. All right, so we've taken our first picture, our first pinhole picture photo of the day. It's almost a self-portrait, but what I had my cinematographer Yossi actually pulled the shutter. The shutter for this camera is this little black piece of tape. It's the shutter. Oh man, you don't gotta put it on tape. Yeah. My cinematographer is probably the most, I don't want to say the, that's unfair, but one of the most efficient people I know. And she applied a little bit of pressure on here. Maybe it's anger. Oh no. Anyway, this is a shutter right here. That's your shutter. or open and then close, and that's the shutter. We just did a 3-minute exposure at a set at f/22 at an 1/8 of a second, extrapolated to f/390. Anyway, we just did a 3-minute exposure, and then we're gonna do a couple more exposures, and we're gonna do some in the sunshine for maybe a little different vibe. Oh man, see that? Okay. Anyway, if you can see here, I'll show you. I will show you a little later. But there's these things, these slides in our film holder, which I'll explain a little later, that you pull out so that the film can be exposed. And me, with my drinking problem and combined with a dyslexic issue, I was getting ready to pull the wrong one, and we would have made no exposure. When I was telling you, I have several bad negatives at home in a drawer called wrong, bad, a folder of negatives that just screwed up and did not work. So anyway, we're gonna move on to our new location to take a second shot. This is the cooking kitty, and that is known as the airplane. And I unfortunately, in an effort to show you, I want to show you what the film looks like in the film holders to take the pinhole photos that we've been doing. But on account of my drinking problems, maybe some past drug issues, monarch butterflies are beautiful. I wonder if here's a monarch butterfly in the UW campus, and it's trying to find its way to South America. Is that where they go? Anyway, it's trying to get back home to South America. And so am I. I'm trying to get back where I'm from. Anyway, what's that?
Tacoma?
Yeah, Tacoma. I'm trying to fly my way back to Tacoma, but I don't know how to fly. Anyway, because on account of my dyslexia, I accidentally exposed 2 pieces of unexposed film. When I was talking about those accidents, well, this is a sad little accident. It's like a variation on Bob Ross's happy little accidents. This is a sad little accident. I accidentally exposed 2 sheets of film, so we've only got 1 more picture to take. We were gonna do 4 today. We're down to 1 more for a total of 2 because I effed up. I fucked up because of I wasn't thinking, I wasn't focused. Hi there. Well, we're back to working on the pinhole camera. As I said, I fucked up a little bit and ruined 2 pieces of film, so we got 1 more picture to take. We're gonna do it here in this beautiful, idyllic. We've gotten a grant. Well, anyway, we're in a simulation of a English countryside. What did you call it?
State.
Estate?
Yeah.
We're in a facility, a stupid United States of America, because we don't have any original concepts in America here. We just steal and steal and steal from other cultures and other countries. And then it's funny, because we steal from other cultures and we steal from other countries. And what are we doing right now? Shutting down our borders like a effing iron curtain, like Russia. Well, anyway, not like Russia, but anyway, we're no more outsiders, no more immigrants. It's like this country's built on immigrants, and so now, anyway, I lost track. Anyway, we are in a nice English style estate, countryside little park, and it's super beautiful here. And I had some other areas I want to show you, but since we've running out of film. But anyway, so the camera is I'm just going to go through a few of the things to how I built the housing for the camera, for the negative and for the pinhole. Basically, you want to cut a hole in whatever kind of container that you're going to make light proof out, and then you attach your pinhole to it. And I've done so with the black electrical tape. And then what I've done is I've put in all the crevices, because I custom built this thing out of you know, some cardboard, a tube, and different pieces of wood, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And then what I've done is all the crevices, all the little crevices I have covered with black electrical tape, 2 and 3 different layers. And so that keeps out any of the light leaks, because if light is very pernicious. Light is non-stop. The sun is a motherfucking source of constant energy. It is constantly battling any kind of little crevice, any little crack. Sun is going to want to get in here, and it's going to want to invade, and it's going to come in here, and it's going to want to destroy the negative. It's going to want to destroy my hard work. We're going to have like the ultimate Bob Ross happy little accident. If there's a light leak in here, a little light leak would be okay. It might add to a little arty effect, a little bit of, you know, not hippie, but something. But if you get a too big of a light leak, or even just a little one, your negative's going to be all fucked up, and you're not going to be happy, and you're going to have you're going to be spending a lot of money. Yeah. So what I just got all these layers of black electrical tape, several layers, and because sun's gonna want to get in there. What sun is trying to do, sun is trying to get into because it is the source of life. It is the source of God, and or God made the sun anyway. And the sun is constantly trying to get into any little dark area, little dark crevice. It is constantly on the attack, looking for ways to fight back evil and darkness, because the sun is good and the sun is light, and the light is constantly trying to fight against the forces of evil, like Satan. Satan is evil, and who else is evil? Darth Vader. The sun is good, and it is constantly trying to attack any area that it can get into. Worm its little sneaky little rays of energy and light into areas it has not gone to, or have areas that has been blocked or has been deprived of. It wants to get in there. So I'm trying my best to keep light out of this area, except for when, me being a control freak, you wouldn't know that, but I am kind of a control freak, until I open up my shutter, and then expose it, and then close her up. All right, so another thing that I've done with the camera to try to make the best photo that we can take, the best exposure that we can take, potentially the ideal exposure, is I've spray painted the entire inside of this with flat black spray paint, flat black. And so what I've done, the flat black paint, what it does is it, because light's going to come in here. As I said, light is a pernicious motherfucker. It wants to do whatever it can do because it's a strong motherfucker. And so light's going to come in here, and you want it to be as black as possible, because light is going to, the flat black will eliminate any extraneous light bouncing around in there, because there's going to be a certain amount of light that, where if there's anything for light to reflect off, it would reflect off and then bounce back into the negative. And even the negative has a little bit of, because it's made out of plastic, has a little bit of reflectivity to it, and it's gonna bounce the light a little bit. So you don't want light to come in here and start partying around, because if you have a little bit of a light party in your camera, you're not gonna get the results that you're looking for. I mean, I'm not a perfectionist. I don't assume to be perfect, and I don't actually want to be perfect, but what I would like to do is I would like to try to be as perfect. I'd like to do as good as I can. That's what I'm trying to say. I'd like to do as good as I can with the skills that the great creator gave me. I don't want to be perfect. I have no intentions of being perfect, and I would not like to be perfect. And to tell the truth, I don't have the ability to be perfect. But what I would like to do, one of my goals in any of my artwork is to do the best as I can with the skills, that the creator gave me when he created the earth only like 12,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago, or whatever, BC or whatever, you know, even though the dinosaurs existed before God created the world. Anyway, so I painted that flat black to avoid any kind of reflections. And then what I've did is, some people do their pinhole photography. They do it with a paper, photo paper, but I prefer to use negatives so that then I can just make as many prints as I want. I prefer using the negative. It's just a personal choice, a little more expensive, but that's what I prefer. And so what I did is I built this housing right here that is going to hold a film holder that I can put in here, and then it will create a light tight scenario, and then I can expose the film. And what we have here is a film holder by the Lisco. It's the 8x10 Lisco cut film holder, and what we are using is cut film. Here, I'll show you a piece of cut film. Normally you would not do this, but this is a piece of, this here is the film we are using. This right here is a piece of 8x10 black and white 400 speed film. And what happens is that what you do is you would do this in total darkness. You would, and so you have to sort of get good at it, because this is the tough part. There's these little rails right here, and you have to do this. Well, that's another thing. I went out doing a photo shoot at the Snoqualmie Falls in the rain, and I got water in here, and I had some negatives that kind of turned out, but they got wet. Here, that's what kind of savage I am. I got negatives. I got my negatives are getting wet because it's so rainy. That's how hardcore I am. I'm at the Snoqualmie Falls, and I'm with my model, Sasha. Thanks, Sasha. And I got a few good photos of her that day. The contrast was pretty fucked up, but she was willing to fight the cold and the rain. And anyway, the wetness took away some of the black, and so I've been thinking about spray painting this black, but I haven't got around to it. But anyway, the tough part, the one I've gotten pretty good at it, but you have to do this in total blackness. But I can, in total darkness. You have to fit that in there, and you have to hold it up at an angle. Because you don't want it scratching like this. That's going to scratch the film right here. But you have to hold it up at an angle a little bit, and you can't be touching it. You got to do it on the edges, and you slip that fucker right in there. You just go like that, and then it has a little lip that goes over it. That's the cut film. This is the cut film. Cut film, some sort of ancient, old-fashioned term. I don't hear that much. Cut film, and then you slide that back in like that, and then you got your light tight piece of thing. That's the 8x10 Lisco cut film holder, and USA, made in USA, patent number 2,506,907, 3.091-168. So that's your film holder. And what I did is I got all the dimensions, and it has this little lip, right here and right here, to help keep the light out, so that when you pull this out, anyway, this thing right here fits in this little groove right here. So I just measured the distance there. You have this little groove here, you have this groove here, so you slide it in, and then you got your light tight thing. And then when you're ready to take your picture, as we did earlier, you slide that little guy out, there's your film, and then here's your shutter.
Wrong direction.
Boom. Oh, yeah. Once again, on my dyslexic area, you would want to pull the one closest to your shutter, closest to your aperture as you could. So you want to pull this one right here. And what I do is I normally leave these things in. Supposedly there's some brushes, some little bit of brush, fur material type stuff inside this that is supposed to make this light proof, but I don't trust it. So what I do is I generally leave these things in there, but it becomes a little issue when it's windy, and I get a little nervous because the wind pulls on that and tugs at it, and then it wants the camera to shake. All right, so we're gonna do a shot, do another photo, or number 2. Our plan was to do 4, but we're screwed up, and because I ruined 2 pieces of film. So what we are going to do is that I'm gonna shoot a picture of myself against this column, and one of the issues that we're gonna have is that I'm just doing testing here. I'm still testing. I haven't done this for a long time, but it's going to be a tough exposure situation. I'm just going to expose for my body and for the color of my fur in my well, this probably won't show up, but my punk rock safety pins, and I'm just going to expose for that because and for the grass and the grass area and the leaves and the bushes behind there, because that column is totally intensely white. It's going to totally get blown out, and I have some more to say in that in a little bit. One of the problems is that we're going to have is that that the column is so super white that it's just it's going to get blown out. But I'm doing testing. I want to find out my exposures, and I think we're going to do about a 40-second exposure here. And so I got it all. I think I got it all figured out and all lined up. And so we're gonna take that picture. But one of the things I want to talk about is I applied for a grant recently, about a half year ago, to a local agency. Right now I'm actually more about applying for grants than making art. I just keep on applying and applying. And so what's happened is I applied for this one grant for $1,500 in Seattle or King County or something, local regional area. And the grant the title of my grant was Pinhole Photography. The title of my thing was Pinhole Photography, the Pixel Killer. So I wrote a little thing about how I wanted to do a series of pinhole photographs, like 50 or 100. They like definite numbers, but I wanted to do like 150, a bunch, a buttload, a collection of pinhole photographs, 8 by 10, like we're doing. And I wanted to do that for a year or whatever. And then I was going to put all those photos into a book and create a book of them. And then I was going to display some. I was going to display some of those photos, and that was my plan. But then recently I got a letter in the mail that started with this line: "We regret to inform you that your project was not selected for funding." Your project was not selected for funding. I'm not bitter. I had high hopes. I mean, I threw all these ideas about, fuck the digital stuff. I mean, I'm going old school here. This is like, I thought it might work. I thought it was important, but I usually don't have a high hopes because it's basically like playing the sweepstakes. So anyway, it's kind of a bummer. I was hoping to get a little cash so I could produce some more pinhole photographs. So let's get to what I'm talking about and make one more photo right now. All right, so what we just did is a 1 minute exposure, and I just put the shutter back onto our hole. I just put on our little black slide thing, and so far, well, we've taken two exposures so far, and we've taken 2 exposures so far. Well, anyway, like I say, it's a whole there's a lot of experimentation going on here. I mean, maybe some people who have more straightforward brains or a little bit more linear orientated might not have as many accidents or fuck up as I do, but that's just, I think, anyway, we're gonna see what's happened. We got 2 things, we've taken 2 pictures today, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna develop those pictures and I will show you the two final products to see how well they turned out or how well they didn't turn out. And if I have a little more time, maybe I'll take a couple of more photos in between, and so I can share those with you too, because my intentions was to share with you a few more photos than just two. But I love doing the photography stuff. I think because there's something that I call sorry, Yossi. I call it the photo orgasm, because I call it the photo orgasm. I call it the photo orgasm because what happens is that, and it's not necessarily related to photo, but it's because I love taking photos and I love doing photography. The concept of composition and thinking about all that stuff and just like becoming one with your subject matter, all that kind of cliched crap and all that stuff. Because like when you get into your composition and you start thinking about stuff, and it's like the rest of the world melts away, and you know, it's not like the world's a horrible place and I need to melt away from it, but it's fun. It's like that's what drugs are. You take drugs because it's a little vacation. I find that creating art and doing photography is sort of like a drug, because it kind of removes the rest of society away from you, and it's just you existing in this. It's just you existing in this place that is away from the rest of civilization. You're in I don't want to call it the creative mode, but you're in this space that does not exist normally, because your brain is so engaged in the act of taking photos, or thinking about taking photos, or creating something that you're going to want to do with the camera. And it provides, when you really get into it, overwhelming sense of well-being. The sensations that the emotions and the feelings that I get from working on artwork and from taking photographs and really getting into it is my existence. I feel so good. It is like a series of small orgasms running throughout my body. I mean, just, you know, small little ones. There is a actual physical sense of well-being from the act of thinking about photography, of actually taking pictures and just ranging around where you're at and figuring out composition, is thinking about what to take pictures of, what not to. I find that, I call it the photo orgasm. All right, so anyway, I'm just gonna show you some samples of some other pinhole photos that I've taken with the same exact same camera we've been working with today. Here we got this is my front porch. I took this about 6 years ago. This is about a 6 to 8 minute exposure. I can't quite remember, but I know it turned out pretty good. I think everything actually turned out great for 6 to 8 minutes. Anyway, there's 4 of us sitting on the porch, and you know, on the count that it's a 6 to 8 minute exposure, we are there's shadow areas, people's different little ghosts, different little things. You know, I would say that I probably stayed pretty still. I think I'm good at staying still. Look at that. Anyway, so this is another one. This is one that I did in my studio when I used to have a studio, but you know, on account of that lawsuit of indecency, I lost my studio. And so anyway, when I had a studio, this is the indoor shot with a lot of lighting, and I have some computer stuff and some old radio tubes and a seal skull. So, you know, once again, we got your highlights. A blown out seal skull is totally white, and like that the picture that we just took previously with the column, which is all white, is going to be like that. There'll be very little, if any, well, hopefully there'll be a little shadow detail, but there'll be a chance it's just that column's gonna be all white, just like this seal skull that I found hiking out in the Olympic Peninsula. Very, very nice time. So over here we got another one. This one is about a minute to 2 minute exposure, and this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's a picnic table that's in the water. It's about in a foot of water, and we have my friends Stan and Adrian and Sunny and a bottle of wine. Notice that the bottle of wine is very clear and solid, just like the picnic table in the water, and everything else. It's because it's a timed exposure, and these people are moving. They're playing cards. It actually might be a 7 or 8 minute. They were staying. They're actually playing cards. They got a picture of them playing cards. 7 or 8 minute exposure. Over here, there's another. Well, these are all pinholes. This is one down at Discovery Park, one of my favorite places in the city. And we have all these little clay creatures that a friend of mine named Adrian built. You got little creatures. There's the clay down here, and so that's, I don't remember how much that exposure was. Here's a self-portrait. I think that was about 40 seconds in the Arboretum. And I think it's an awesome, awesome shot. It's like I'm coming out of the bushes. I just had the camera all set up, and then I removed the tape by myself with my, and then put it back on. And I think I counted in my head how many seconds I was. But I wish I wasn't quite so blurry. I wish I was a little more focused and this was still blurry, but I still like it. I think it's like I'm totally emerging. Oh, this is an old school, different pinhole camera that I used to make out of mailing tubes, and this is sort of like my muse. This is this, I think I've talked about my mannequin that I've had in the past. And I still have it. I've had this mannequin with me for 20 years. I don't know if that disturbs anyone or not. Here's another early pinhole of a cactus and some electrical components. That was made with one of my older models of pinholes. As was this. This turned out to be an awesome pinhole that I made with my 4x5 over at Gasworks Park with some of the machinery underneath there. That was one of my early ones that turned out to be one of my best. I have a series of equipment like this that is some of my best exposures. There's a portrait of Adrian that I took at Short Sands in the Oregon coast, Short Sands. Once again, I can't recall the exposure time, but notice all the sand. There's sand there that's getting pretty blown out. But yeah, she did a pretty good job of staying still there. Maybe it was really bright. There's a self-portrait. The contrast is kind of fucky, but it was me in a clear cut watching, pretending to watch I should have had the camera a little closer because you can't. There's a TV tube here, the insides of a TV, and anyway, I'm pretending to watch TV in this clear cut. And another issue is the pinhole is that skies. I try not to have a whole lot of skies in there unless there's some clouds to give it a little definition or a little depth or a little something for the thing to for the light. All right. Oh, there's some more. There's another Discovery Park with the little clay creatures. There's Adrian, and then I pulled the shutter, and the camera was probably about 10 feet away, 5 feet away, and then I quickly got in there. But it's light over time has a less effect on the film, on the sensitized film. You'd think it'd be the same thing. You're doing okay, Yasi? You're getting ready to pass out. My filmmaker's getting ready to pass out. She's starving. There's another self-portrait. When I was in my heavy weight, I probably weighed about 20 pounds more there. Can't really tell, or maybe you can, but kind of a spooky self-portrait, yeah. And there is Short Sands, a beautiful nature shot, waterfall, beautiful, beautiful area, Short Sands, nature shot. And I used to have a fetish issue with, I love these things. I think clavicles are super sexy.
Collarbones?
Clavicles. I think they're clavicles. Clavicles. C-L-A-V-I-C-L-E-S. Clavicles. I used to have a classical fetish. This is Sasha. Thanks, Sasha. She used to be a model for me occasionally on and off. And there's I think someone actually bought this photo from, no, it's not this photo. Photo similar to this. But once again, we got Sunny the dog who stayed, it must have been Friday. Sunny stayed pretty still. You can see his body and just his head was moving. And then these two were staying pretty still. And so that worked out pretty good. I think it's a beautiful shot. And there's another one of those machinery shots that I took with my older pinhole camera. Right there. I think that one turned out awesome. Oh, and there's another one. I love that one. All the light and stuff. And once again, the pinhole, it's really tough with the blown out highlights. Very, very dangerous. Here's another self-portrait. I'm not really happy with the contrast. I could have really worked harder with it. But there I am. I had to walk about 15 or 20 feet to get in position after I released the shutter, the little piece of black tape that you saw us working with earlier, and then lay down for a minute or two and then go back and put the thing back on the shutter. And so that's why I'm sort of thin and pale, like I'm disappearing. Kind of like Marty in, what's that, Back to the Future, when he's slowly, there's the picture of his family because he's fucking up the timeline, is the picture slowly, everyone's fading in it. That's what's happening. There's some fading happening. So anyway, there's one more porch photo that we took. That's again, that was about a 6 to 8 minute exposure, and it worked out pretty good. I think there was a lot of detail. Everyone stayed pretty still. It looked like at one point, Stan, I don't know if you can get that, Stan had his arm on this woman, on Kara's leg, but then he moved it back over here. But it used to be here. There was a ghosting, and I used to be standing right here, and then I must have moved over for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, and there's the dog again. Because the dog's not gonna, he just can't stay still like a human when you ask him to. All right, what do we? All right, so here we have one of the negatives. As you can see, this is one of the negatives, and the contrast is pretty good, a little bit thin. and it's a little bit out of focus, but this is some computer boards and a devil's claw. Everything's pretty good there. I got some better negatives of this, but I couldn't find them. It's a little blurry, but it turned out, exposure-wise, it turned out great. So here we have my friend Sasha, and this one we did at Golden Gardens, and it turned out really good. Everything turned out really good, but as I said before, what happens is that so much light gets in there, this dark area at the top. That's called the highlights. That's where there's so much sun coming through the camera, through the pinhole, that it destroys the film. It attacks the film and makes it super dark. So then when I make a print of that, it turns out white, and that's why we call it the highlight. And then the shadows and the negative are these little dark areas, and there's actually a little detail there. So that one turned out okay. That one is Sasha at Golden Gardens. And then here, oh, see, there's one that we show. I actually showed you that print. That is Adrian and see, that turned out great. There's no, as you can see, the little dark areas behind this tree is where the highlights are. The highlights were burnt in, and where all the white sand was, and there's no detail there. But that one printed great. Good, pretty good contrast. And there's another one that I took at the beach and at Short Sands, and as you can see, the contrast here is pretty fucked up. I could never really get a good print of this one. The sky is totally all black, and then these parts are all white. Those white parts those are called the shadow areas, and they're too dark. They're all black, and the contrast on this one was pretty fucked up.